Welcome to Screen Talk, the podcast about anything that we can be found on your screens. I'm your host, Sam. With me, as always, is my co-host, Blue. Blue, how are you doing on this beautiful day of love?
Happy to not be in either of the situations in any of these movies that we have seen. I think that's good.
Yeah, so this is our first one back. We're coming back, hopefully a little more consistently. So sorry,
Whoopsie.
But we thought, what a better way to come back than in the month of love and have a themed month of love. And what better way to do that than to pick movies that are horrific in every way romantically possible?
Well, the idea, to be fair, was we do one sad episode and then one happy episode. We just haven't gotten to happy yet. But I think we're mostly prepared for it. This is probably one of the first Valentine's Days in a long time that both you and I are in happy, healthy relationships at the same time. You know?
Yes.
So good for us.
Yes. And I like how do we celebrate that? We're both in committed, happy relationships. Mm-hmm. And we're like, so let's watch movies that make us fucking cry. Or
yeah. Let's watch the thing that's ever happened to two people.
Yes. Mm-hmm. Or three or four in some cases. So yes, we're kind of going the anti Valentine's Day route. We both have picked two movies that are about relationships to some degree, and that don't necessarily turn out well for the people involved. I don't know which one you want to kick this off with, Blue.
Well, the good news is they're both good movies, but they're both a bad time. So there's really not one to start with, I guess. Rules of Attraction, I think, would be probably one to, I hate to say it this way, but get it out of the way. It has some darker themes, has some things that the other one's just sad. This one's criminal.
This one's yeah, there's bad things happening.
Yeah,
of varying degrees, yes.
Exactly.
So, I mean, I'm going to take a guess here. I believe this was my recommendation, was my pick, was The Rules of Attraction. I have watched this movie, I do not know how many times. This was a movie that I watched like during high school and probably college, like regularly. Like it was on a lot, which I don't know what that says about me. But like, did you have any preconceived notions about this particular work?
No, not at all. I mean, I am familiar, though I haven't read it. I know it's in the universe of like American Psycho, kind of situated there, and characters being related and everything there. So I guess I had somewhat of a frame of reference because I have seen American Psycho. But as for this actual movie project, no, not at all. Other than knowing that you liked it and it was the early 2000s, and there's probably going to be an alt girl in there that has a good and bad time.
The same one from Wrist Cutters, by the way. Just want to bring that up. I have a type.
She is beautiful. I'll give you that. So
I mean, she was the it scene girl of the day.
Yeah.
I will say before we get into this, by the way, we did pick this before James Van Der Beek passed away, so I don't want people to truly think that we're trying to be vultures and go off that. It just kind of happened that way. But I would say we'll honor him a little bit in talking about, I think, one of his more underrated projects.
I will say this is the only project I've ever seen with him in it.
Oh,
because I didn't grow up with
crazy to me.
He's in like Dawson's Creek and stuff, but I never saw that.
He's Dawson, and in the movie you picked, his love interest is the main girl. So
really.
Yes, she is the love interest. She is the main girl in Dawson's Creek.
Okay, millennial audience is eating good today. Okay.
So The Rules of Attraction is by Mr. Bret Easton Ellis, a writer. If for those at home who don't know, Blue already referenced it. Probably his most well-known work is probably American Psycho. As well as Less Than Zero. He's known for, as the AI Google described him, a literary bad boy.
Ooh.
But he's also got some problematic stuff. He is like a Me Too denier.
Oh.
And, like, yeah, he has some interesting views out there. So just
He just might not be a literary bad boy. I think he just might be a bad boy.
yeah, he might just be a bad boy. I
don't know
yeah.
about that.
uh although I will say I didn't know his podcast was the one that like went viral for having Quentin Tarantino come on there and shit all over that one actor that like
wow,
pissed everybody off.
stuff?
That was his podcast. I didn't realize it.
I feel bad for that actor.
Like what, one person doesn't like you? Like, I don't like Colin Farrell. I think he'll live. Like,
but Tarantino, oh my god, that's crazy.
Well, now, hey, don't waste your time auditioning for one of his movies. You ain't getting the part.
Well, I guess he's not making any movies, so I guess. Well,
okay. Rules of Attraction is listed as a black comedy drama. And I guess it is. It's so weird to think of it as a comedy. There is comical parts in it.
Yeah, it's definitely a satire in that kind of category, I would say.
Now, it's kind of much like the movie we're going to be discussing later. There is a element of time being played with in this movie, which might make it a little confusing to describe, but we're going to try our best. If you've not seen it, I'll try and give the most basic rundown I can of the plot. It's more or less a love triangle situation between the three primary characters. Sean Bateman, who, as Blue said, is in the book and in the movie. You actually get a little cameo from Patrick Bateman of American Psycho. He's the brother. And then there's Lauren, who is this pixie dream girl who's in love with this guy, and she's going to lose her virginity to. And then there's Paul, who
he's a sad little gay boy.
He's a sad
little gay boy who cannot pick up on if people are interested or not. And I've never related harder.
I knew you were going to relate to that character so bad.
Yeah. If there's a sad little gay boy in a movie, yep, that's me.
Now the movie opens with the end of the film, or does it? Which is a thing that I'll be honest with you. I've seen this movie probably over 50 times and I never questioned something. And then you made me question it. And I was like, oh, wow, I'm dumb.
I think that's what they're saying. Well, we'll get into it.
Yeah.
Well, because I want to see if you agree with me now, but that's what I think had happened. I have views on that.
So the movie opens at the end of the film, essentially. So you're looking at Sean, who's he's all beat up. They're standing in a room, essentially, at a big giant party called the End of the World Party. You can see visually that they are all noticing that they are all there. Sean is all beat up and more or less chooses to go sleep with this blonde chick. Lauren ends up getting raped.
Trigger warning.
And yeah, I'm sorry for that. Yeah, it's in the opening of the movie too. So yeah,
it's a rough one too. I will say it's a rough scene to watch, and it's very. It's a little. We kind of touched on this, the timeline of the movie, what happens, what doesn't happen. There's a lot of things to be going on there. It goes on a while. It's a little gratuitous, especially if the ending is how I think it ends, truly. Mm-hmm. But it is dark. If you are going to watch it, be prepared.
So, I mean, there's a few things that are going to happen in this opening of the film that are telling you what kind of ride you're in for. Yes, you are getting an SA happening. And not only that, it's like she thinks she's sleeping with another person. She realizes she's sleeping with some random drunk guy while the guy she was thinking she was sleeping with is filming it.
Everyone in the movie is on drugs or alcohol and also raping each other. Always.
Yes. And
always.
And then we flip over to Paul's story, which I was again like, well, I could see Blue having some relations. I don't know why. I feel like you could relate to it. But Paul is essentially hooking up with like a football player or something, and more or less, he gets beat up for being gay, essentially. So you're getting a lot of great themes at the beginning of this movie.
Yeah, really incredible, inspiring stuff for sure.
Yeah. All right, so I got to know your point here because obviously this is your introduction to the movie. I kind of warned you that it was going to be like a fucked up movie. What are you thinking about at this point?
I mean, I will say it's a little heavy-handed on some of it. I do think of the movie as like a satire. I think of it as the antithesis of that coming of age college movie, essentially. So I get that it's a little bit over the top. Like I don't think a lot of the characters, there's like one character who's particularly maybe likable, but most characters kind of have maybe some really bad traits like this. I just feel like it's a little bit like it serves the plot because again, in my head, this is a comedy and it is a parody, and it's serious in a sense, but really through a much different lens, I would say. Some of the themes are a little much. I will say for all of there's a lot of anti-gay stuff in this movie. Which is fine. I mean, not fine actually, but fine in the context. This is 2002. I actually thought it was interesting. It was almost like fun to watch it in a sense of like someone who's been out and gay for a very long time, of like how different it is to be gay now versus like then, where like he got like someone was just like, he made a move on someone that he thought was gay and they said, I'm not gay. And then they beat him up. And like in this day and age, no one really a dude might get uncomfortable if he gets hit on by a guy. He might be like, oh well, I don't know, give you that, but like it is so socially different, and it is so like it's such a better time. So I thought that was interesting in the context of like the culture. I will say that yeah.
Oh, I was gonna say, I will say that the book was written in the 80s.
Yeah, 1987.
And Bret Easton Ellis is a openly gay man as well. So based on, I've only seen his other works being in film. I've seen American Psycho and Less Than Zero, both of which have recurring gay themes in it. I will say that I'm wondering if that what you're seeing is like probably, I'm going to guess, somewhat of a reflection of his experience being a gay man in the 80s, if I had to take a guess.
I would bet, yeah. And it's interesting too, because that character is well, I mean, I guess they're bisexual, right? They've been with men and women. I think they're referred to in the plot as a bisexual. It's a like a drug dealer, a bisexual person, and a virgin, I think is like the basic tagline, something like that.
Yeah, which to be fair, he's supposed to be bisexual. I don't see him presented as anything but gay. But
yeah, I had to look up because I was curious about some of the things about this movie, and I guess like I didn't realize at one point that the girl and Paul had like a relationship or a thing. Like they had, I guess in the books that is like more of an established thing. And I was like, oh, so that kind of changes the context of their whole scene at the end smoking, but that's a whole other thing. But yeah, so that was interesting to see in terms of that. The assault scene is a little much. Just because I think once we get into this a little bit more, there is a lot in this movie that's very interesting editing wise. This is one of like the first studio films that was like edited on Final Cut Pro, which I thought was interesting. But there is a lot of, we start a scene and then we go backwards. Like you visibly see your characters and your plot and things move backwards, right? Yes. So there is this implication at the end of the movie, because we're starting at the end essentially, and then we're going back and we're setting up, and there's flashbacks and there's all these different things. There's all these different elements. And I think the actual ending changes the original ending of the movie. So in my head, I'm like, that's kind of long to spend on this assault scene that's really graphic and really gross and involves vomit, and there's so much happening in that scene that it's almost like I don't know if we needed to spend that much time on it if by the end we're quote unquote undoing what happened there.
Which I guess when we get there, I mean, unless you want to do it now,
I feel like we can't, because of the nature of this movie, we can't talk about it without talking about everything.
Okay, so what Blue's referring to is that this has almost like it's not breaking the fourth wall, but it's breaking its own rules of a sense, which I think is kind of a cool fact. So essentially, again, at the end of the movie that it's presented at the beginning of the film is Sean goes and has sex with this girl, which basically kicks off all of the other events that happen. And at the end of the film, he doesn't. He, instead of going and fucking the girl, he gets on his bike and presumably dies. You have to presume he's dead. And I had to read, I read up a fact on this. It ends so the whole movie, by the way, which I really like this. There's an inner monologue for every character going, of our 3 characters, I should say. And so you're hearing his thoughts as he's on his motorcycle driving, and the movie just cuts to black mid-word. And from what I understand, that is also how the book begins and ends. It begins mid-sentence and ends mid-sentence. Presumably, I would think that means that you got to assume he got into a car accident or got into a bike, a motorcycle accident. I cannot talk. And dies. That's how I interpret it. But I will say, in the 100 times I've seen this movie, I never once thought of it the way that you described that. Well, that means that the other events, her losing her virginity to the sexual assault and Paul getting beaten up, don't actually happen because of that changed the result of what happened, because they're shown at the end basically watching Sean drive off, not presumably being raped and beaten up. So I never thought of it. I always was like, oh no, that still happened, but Sean just left. I don't know why, probably because I was young when I watched this a lot, but I never thought of it.
Yeah, it kind of struck me because I was like, what is happening? When I actually got to the end and I saw him put down that and then not go for that blonde girl and to just, get on his motorcycle and leave, and then change that order of events, because we see Paul on that back porch, and he's visibly not beaten up. We see her, she's smoking a cigarette, there is like a scene where like you see her walk upstairs, but in my head, almost like I just imagine her leaving because otherwise she wouldn't be there. I'm pretty sure the song is the same that is playing in the loop of the background of her original scene of the assault at the party, and then playing while she's smoking a cigarette. So I'm pretty sure that the implication is that neither of those 2 events occurred, actually. But it's hard to gather. I will say I read a little bit about the book. There's a lot of stuff with Sean Bateman and Paul, like that kind of thing, like where when you're reading about Paul's experiences, we see it in the movie as this fantasy, like he's fantasizing about him. He's like, ooh, like
a blonde man. Off in this movie.
Yeah, a lot of jacking off. So he's going crazy. He's jerking that thing. But in the book, I guess it's like it's presented in the way that where you don't know if they've actually slept with each other. Like he's very vividly describing this and talking about this and everything in detail, and then you get to Sean's POV and there's nothing about that. So it's like, is that like a weird commentary on like repressed sexuality and that only exists in this space? Is Paul like a psychopath? Like, is he just like thinking about it? Does he just want this man so bad that he's like presenting the information that way? So I guess that would be more interesting, I think, to read in a sense. But yeah, they kind of went with more of like, yeah, he's just fantasizing about him and this, which is also fine. I think if I'm making this a movie, I wouldn't know how to show that in any other way. So that's probably the choice. Oh, hi, Ripley. Oh, hey. But yeah, so that was an interesting way to kind of present everything, I will say. There's a lot of really fun stuff in this movie too. I will say, like, I really like the 2000s lip gloss that everyone had. I love that scene where Sean's talking to a guy that he's like selling to drugs to or whatever, and he puts the cigarette in his belly button. Like, there's some weird choices in this movie that I think are really fun. In that sense, I love the camera, like the POV, like the. We have 2 characters at one point. We have Lauren and we have Sean meet. And it shows like there are 2 different journeys into a location, and then shows their split POV, and then it breaks that immersion where she reaches out to his glasses and goes to take them off or whatever. And it's this like the way that is shot and edited is just so fun. So there is a lot of really interesting stuff with this movie, I will say. And I actually thought it was kind of overall kind of very interesting. Let me see if you're on my wavelength with this, because part of the reason I like this is almost like I felt like it was kind of making a statement, especially for it being originally written in 1987, but even regardless of maybe the director's choices, if this is something that they're trying to say with it, I do think it is stylistic. I do think it is like a a teen coming of age movie, a college movie. It's like one of those, but it has such of these dark themes. It has such like the dark side of like growing up and like adults and partying and drugs and alcohol and this and like all those things that happen. And when I watch a lot of that stuff, one of the things that I kind of have to do to like separate myself in a sense is when I'm seeing stuff or people are critiquing things like Animal House or like Revenge of the Nerds or like American Pie. Like there is this lens of, well, it was like this presenting something in this way was fine at the time. Like in American Pie, like filming that like teenager like changing without her consent and stuff like that. And people like kind of have this like, oh, like this is more like it's almost as someone who I'm non-binary, but I am culturally a woman. Unfortunately, I live in this body. But a lot of watching those movies with themes like that, especially in that coming of age like theme movie, are really kind of horrifying. But a lot of it has to go with like, oh, well, it was the time, it was different. Like this is just like the comedy. And this book kind of came out in the height of that, I feel like, with that being in 1987. And it doesn't try to hide how gross it is. It doesn't hide behind like youthful ignorance. It doesn't hide behind anything. And a lot of those movies have this like third act where like they fall in love and it like humanizes this character who like logically we can look at, especially with a 2026 lens, but just a normal human lens, in my opinion. And they get humanized in this third act and they don't let them have that. They don't let them have that. Lauren and Sean don't end up together. That's like kind of the big like couple, I guess I would say, of everything. Like no one ends up with who they want. There's no youthful innocence. Like everyone's kind of like a little sociopathic and a little evil. And the people that are doing some of these bad things are, it's just interesting. It's just very interesting that it came out during that time. Like I feel like it will always stick out to me in that sense, because like you got your main boy character who doesn't get his way. And who presumably it would rather die than get his way, right? If we're interpreting that he would die at the end. Mm-hmm. You get Lauren, who is maybe someone who is more of a character that stereotypical in those movies. There is like this thankless trophy girl for this boy to woo by the end or by the third act or whatever, and he gets one or she gets one in the sense of like his self-improvement or this, like there's so much like metaphors for what that relationship means, but it's kind of a thankless role and it doesn't allow for much depth, and it doesn't happen and good, because I think that writing is a little lazy. So I will say, for presenting all that information in that way, when I look at things now that have maybe some more controversial scenes that are more like classic movies that have these maybe questionable themes of consent or questionable, boys will be boys, maybe metaphor or like now common defense for, when someone was so putting a spotlight on that and not hiding behind youth and not hiding behind innocence, not hiding behind being naive, that it's like so much more of a social statement for that to be made, and for that to be made in the 80s. I was like, that's actually, I don't know. I thought it was super progressive and super, like, once I got through some of the more jarring visuals and there's a lot of shock value and a lot of things. Once I got through that and I felt like, what is this film trying to tell me? Like, what's the cultural significance that I'm tying to this film? Like, why would they have made a film in this way? Because I don't think it's just for shock value. I think they lead with it. And I think it is a choice based on the message that I think that the author had intended. But yeah, it was really interesting. And it was really actually kind of validating for someone who has grown up as a woman, who has grown up in scenarios, who has been told, like I was watching an older movie and gotten that like, oh, well, it was just the time, or has had people say comments that made me uncomfortable, or people have done things that made me uncomfortable. And over time, like hearing that kind of metaphor and this like thing, or like, oh, boys will be boys, or this, or like people who are young who do like heinous crimes to women, and they're just like, well, he's young, don't ruin his whole life. Like, it's so like horrifying living in this world sometimes as someone who is in a feminine body. Though we've made a lot of strides. The world we live in now is very different. And especially there isn't even an element of like being gay, right? Like that, there's a whole social critique happening in there too. But it was really something special that I'll take away from that movie is how, when I look at things of that time period now, 70s, 80s, 90s, and I see those things that I don't like again, a character who we're supposed to love and root for, and who gets the girl in the end filming a girl naked and changing with her without her consent, like a teenage girl. Like it's so like validating to have that cringe. I'm like, okay, so people in fucking 87 also felt it. This guy also felt it. He knows, like, and he's making a critique about it, and it just feels so like, like I feel like actually seen in a way that I did not expect to get from this movie at all. So.
Yeah, I mean, I'm with you on all of that. I think it is pretty progressive, especially for it being a book from the late 80s. I will say that I'm glad that they chose to go with contemporary times at the time of the making of this movie. But because, like you said, with the editing and everything, it does have this like early 2000s feel to it that really matches. And now granted, when this movie released, I know, Blue, shut your mouth with the age thing. But I would have been like in like 7th or 8th grade. So like I wasn't in the partying age, but that, like, I will say, like, the early 2000s, I feel were a time of from like 2005 to 2000, maybe 10, 12. There was like I almost would say it was like an 80s. I mean, there was a culture, a youth culture of excess that I feel doesn't exist today. I mean, it was about going out and getting fucking annihilated. I mean, getting like there. I don't see. I mean,
your Project X type. Yeah.
Yeah. You and I, we work a lot with, in our real day-to-day lives with like younger people. And I just don't see that in this. And that's a good thing, by the way. Yeah. It's a good thing that we've, but like, because I almost feel like this movie couldn't exist today. And I would take it like, well, yeah, that's what kids do today. I'd be like, no, the kids aren't doing that. They're all fucking sitting around playing Fortnite till they're 40. So I do think it needed to exist there. And I also will say, like you touched on it. I also think this movie is very funny. It's so insane to have all these super heavy, because I mean, I can't think of a thing this thing doesn't touch on. It touches on sexual assault, it touches on addiction, it touches on unrequited love, it touches suicide, a graphic suicide scene, by the way. One of the most intense.
We haven't even talked about that yet at all.
One of the most intense suicide scenes I think I've ever seen. It might be the most intense suicide scene I've ever seen.
Imagine killing yourself over a blonde man. Could not be me.
Dawson had that D. She doesn't know though.
And he never fucking knew her. Oh, whatever.
Yeah.
Dumb.
So, but ultimately, like, but having all of those themes and then still weirdly having like, it's funny. Like there's like this, again, the scene with, so Sean is a drug dealer. He's a drug dealer on campus. So on all of the weirdos that he interacts with, they're always very funny. I think the drug dealer that he buys from is hilarious.
I agree.
When he's like, I'd have an asshole on my elbow.
I need right you like my asshole needs an elbow. Or my elbow needs an asshole or whatever. That shit was funny as fuck.
Yeah. Right here, an asshole.
He just sitting there like. Anyway.
So I mean, really, it's hard to get the plot here. But the plot is there is a secret fourth character who isn't really in the movie. The whole movie's more the whole movie's plot more or less revolves around the fact that Sean is getting these secret love notes that he thinks are from Lauren. Mm-hmm. And so he's fantasizing about Lauren while Paul is also fantasizing about Sean, because Paul's in love with Sean. That I have other thoughts on. I'm going to go back to the notes. I'm going to focus on the Sean aspect of this right now. Mm-hmm. So Sean is getting these notes that he thinks are from Lauren. So he's falling in love with Lauren, despite it's not actually from her, as it's revealed that it's this girl who has been shown all throughout the movie. She's kind of always just in the background. She was the one giving the notes to Sean. She sees Sean go have sex with Jessica Biel, which fucking early role for her. And then it is revealed that she writes him one last note and she kills herself by slitting her wrists in the bathtub, to which Lauren finds her dead body, and it is horrifying.
And they have no context. She never reveals her identity. Lauren finds this girl who's done this, which is kind of crazy. It's just, yeah, there's a lot happening there. Kind of obvious when you look back. I don't know if you noticed that girl. Every scene has something purple, like a purple backpack, a purple like everything. Always has.
I think
purple.
she has like a purple hairnet on at the when she's working at the cafeteria or whatever. Yeah. It's definitely one that I can't say if I called it beforehand. I don't really think you could, because I mean, how would you have?
No, looking back now and then seeing that, yes, but yeah, otherwise, because your narrators don't see her, and that's kind of the whole point, I guess.
And and truly, like, sad if you think about it. Like, no one ever knows this girl. Never. Sean is never revealed to the fact that that these letters aren't. I mean, at the end of the movie, he's literally holding the notes, saying, "Then why the fuck are you writing me letters?" And she's like, "What? What are you talking
about?
Letters?"
Like,
yeah. And like, so no one. This girl is like forgotten, essentially, because no one ever truly knows her. But that is the theme of the movie. No one really knows anyone.
Get this college a fucking mental health seminar. What the hell are we doing? Get someone in there to talk to these people.
Okay, so that kind of does Sean's story there. Although a fun story, for a fun little side note for anyone who likes to have little bits of trivia. If you're a big American Psycho fan, at one point Sean gets he basically fucks his drug dealer over, and he's on the run a bit, and he calls his brother Patrick for some help to get some money, and you do hear like a little muffled thing on the end. I don't think it was Christian Bale, I doubt it.
No.
But in story, it is actually he's calling his finance brother from American Psycho, so kind of fun.
Yeah, I will say that was an interesting part before we transition to a different character here. Is I almost feel like I understand it, because the source material, that is it. Like, that's the world that we're in. That's the character. Obviously, there is that little bit of a link. I will say, in the context of the movie, I don't think that it really adds a ton. I mean, like, it doesn't really, I mean, I guess it explains him doing kind of a crazy look every once in a while. It kind of looks a little, I guess, but it doesn't really, that didn't really land for me. Like, again, it's fine. It's the source material. It's that author's work. Like, yes, I will accept that these two characters are related, and that is totally fine. I don't mind. But it just didn't really, in the context of the film, it didn't really. The fact that his last name is Bateman did nothing.
It means nothing. I mean, it's just a fun little Easter egg. If I had to take a guess, it probably was like, hey, this is an independent film, very clearly. I have to take a guess that they're like, American Psycho's super in the zeitgeist right now. Like, if we, put a little Easter egg in there, film nerds like me will jack off to it, which I did. So
goofy.
Okay, so now let's go to, I would say, the character that makes me think of you. We have the counter side here, where Paul is in love with Sean, and I have to say, the dude is not great at picking up on hints.
No, not at all. Yeah, I mean, it must be so hard to navigate, because that's a whole other element too, right? If you're writing this in the 80s, if you're a gay man and you're writing this in the 80s, gay or bisexual, whatever. I do wonder what that would look like in terms of like trying to find someone who would not judge you, who would be like, how do you find other gay men when you're a teenager in the 80s? Like, I don't know what that looks like. I don't know how difficult that is. I wonder, I do think in the context of maybe the 2000s, it's a little harder to believe, I guess, a little bit, because I do think it's a little bit easier at that point, not socially, not in many ways, but in terms of like actually finding people, I will say you kind of get a little bit more of a leeway there, to my knowledge. But
do you think at all? Granted, I mean, we're trying to get into the characters' heads here, but like, it almost feels like to me when I watch it, like the reason Paul likes Sean. Granted, he's James Van Der Beek, and like that was hot in the early 2000s, but like also Sean doesn't treat him differently.
Yeah.
Sean Like now, Sean is a completely aloof to the fact that like
he wants to.
Sean's also kind of dumb.
Yeah.
Like Sean's completely aloof to the fact that this guy's into him, but like more or less, I get the impression that Paul likes Sean because while everyone else kind of treats him differently for being gay, Paul's kind of like, or I'm sorry, Sean's kind of like, no, yeah, here, have a beer, you know, all that. Like he just kind of treats him like a normal person. And I kind of feel like that it's almost sad that like that's all it takes, maybe from the perspective of this gay man. Well, hey, this guy's nice to me. Maybe I love him.
Well, hey, been there. Yeah. Hey, this guy seems to not really like me, but like not hate my existence either. So I think we're in love. Shout out Paul. Been there. Yeah, there's something to be said about that, about like him being very kind to him in that sense of like everyone else like knows what it means to be seen with this person. Because at one point, someone tells Lauren that Sean and Paul have been hanging out, and he's like, "Oh, there's no way! Like he must not know, or like whatever." Like there is this implication that like you are just gay by association, like immediately.
I would say it's not clear to me that Sean does know that he's gay. Like either you could look at it from two ways: that he's just kind of progressive and doesn't give a shit, or he's really, really aloof and doesn't get it at all.
Yeah. There's two elements to it, but I will say one thing that was interesting is kind of you get a little bit of like Paul's, I don't know if you would maybe call it a past relationship, but like the Matt Damon character and how that like kind of plays out. Like obviously they fooled around before. That's a whole thing. There's a lot going on there.
The Matt Damon character.
Yeah, that's when Paul is going and he's like their moms are both there and they're at the restaurant and then they're like, "You're making a scene."
Well, that's not Matt Damon.
That's not Matt Damon? Who is that?
No. I think you're thinking of Kip Pardue. Yes, but you're referring to one of the scenes I think is very funny, which is Faye Dunaway and the other old lady.
Yeah, who is that guy?
If you Google Kip Pardue, I think that's who you're thinking of.
It's not Matt Damon. I
promise you it's not Matt Damon.
It looks like
it. You think Matt Damon would be in this movie and not be the lead?
I don't know. I just saw a white guy.
It would be wild to pick.
I just saw a white guy with sunglasses. That's all I know. We
got Damon. We're going with Vanderbeek.
Well, I didn't know he was like a big deal at that time.
I believe you're thinking of Mr. Kip Pardue. Yes.
All white men in sunglasses look the same to me, basically. I'm like, yeah, that's that guy.
I was very thrown off. I was like, I've seen this movie. I was like, I've seen this movie like 100 times. I'm like, if Matt Damon's in this, I'm upset. Because
I'll pay attention to this movie in the sense that I notice that every time fucking Sean drinks from the whiskey bottle, it's a Jack Daniels whiskey bottle, but every long shot, it's a very clearly not labeled bottle of whiskey. That I can notice. And I'm like, who's that white guy? Matt Damon, probably. Anyway, there's obviously something there. They kind of, there's a lot going on there. It's interesting because I feel like Paul has this kind of energy with people. Like he's obviously not out to his own family. Like this guy is, and there's a whole element there, and there's a whole like tension there. But he's not like he's like ashamed. Like they get, they've been like a little pillow fight, whatever, gay, and they like he's like kind of gets like a little ooh. Like there's something to be said about the fact that he's not really out, but then socially is, and then kind of gets mad when like he thinks someone could be, and they're like not willing to like talk about it, or they like, girl, you're not right. Okay.
Yeah, no, I get you. Yeah, I mean, I guess I didn't even think about the fact that he's not even fully, like he's not fully out. He's out on campus, but he's not out in his personal life, it looks like.
Yeah, he lives a incredibly progressive, very live in his gay or bisexual lifestyle in college, and like it's known, like it is like if you think about this guy and the fact he's hanging out with someone, that probably means they're gay. Like it's so well known, and for that to be so opposite in his personal life was kind of interesting. Not that it necessarily is surprising, but I do think there's like this element of him being kind of like there's just no open gay men or whatever, and it's like, well, but you're right, okay, sure. One thing that didn't land for me as well that I wanted to talk about. With it kind of it involves Paul's character, and I'm hoping maybe you can shed some light. I mean, I would imagine it's for humor, but it maybe just didn't land for me. I do like in the sense that he's planning for this date, he's doing this, like whatever. He, you know, his friend's like, oh, that outfit's a little too gay, whatever, yada yada. He's like, he's getting ready, he's so excited. And his friend's like, oh my God, like our friend is dying, like we have to go to the hospital, like we have to go right now. I get that like they show him as this like sociopath, that kind of energy, right? Because he's like, he does not give a fuck that his friend could be dying or could be ODing. Like he does not give two fucks. Like he's truly like, bro, I have a date. Like we need to get home.
Yeah.
We need to get home immediately. I have a little man to kiss. That part's fine. I'm okay with that, like conceptually and what it's trying to show me about Paul and priorities and all these things. But the doctor in the ER, like because they bring this guy to the ER and they meet like a fake doctor who's like, yeah, I don't know, he's dead.
Yeah, and
What?
the doctor part is probably but so I will say this. First of all, I like that scene because I feel like, yeah, you can get that like he's being cold, but it's also like, you know, again, in that hard partying wild time of that is like there is that where you're like, no, he's fine, like trust me, he's fine, he's just a freshman, he's a pussy, like he's gonna be fine. And you know, and then you also have to imagine like it is kind of strange, but if you got to imagine if you're in an ER on a college campus, imagine how many dumb fucking people you probably, you know, oh, I'm flipping out because of all the drugs and shit. I'm sure you probably do become a little callous to it.
Yeah, I guess I just didn't like. It'd be one thing if he was like, I don't know, like chastising them because if they're being dramatic or something, like, but he's just like, yeah, no, your friend's dead. Dead on the floor. I don't know. Huh? Hey, pardon? Like, it's so like, I don't, it's
to be clear, listeners, he's not dead. He's
fine. Well,
it's Jay Baruchel, the actor comedian, and he's a freshman who takes ecstasy, and basically they think he's overdosing, and he's not. He's just tripping.
Yeah, the craziness of like taking someone to a hospital and having that reaction, and it's not even like, yeah, like, oh well, like whatever, like these dumb college kids or whatever. The dude's like on the floor, like the guy's like passed out, and the doctor's like, yep, dead. And I'm like, fuck, what are we doing? Like, take this guy's medical license. What are we? You can't do that. Is there no other doctors? Like, is there no one else who's even gonna admit this guy, like, because he's on drugs? Yeah. Like, are we not a little concerned? Are we not like, what do we maybe want to ask some questions? Like, that part just didn't like fit in for me at all in the concept of like the movie. I was like, I guess it's just supposed to be funny, but I just didn't. It didn't land to me at all because I was like, why is this scene here? I understand why the scene getting to the hospital is here. Why is this here? Like, to me, I was just like, okay.
It is a little more of like a slapstick comedy, and I could see that being jarring. It doesn't really take me out of it, but I can see why you'd say that. Okay, so I would like to hear. I want to go through one more part here. All right, so you know when there's a scene in a movie where you're like, man, if that one thing didn't happen, you could just be happy, and you hate the scene.
Sure,
I hate the scene where Sean is basically giving up, and he tries to kill himself, and then he fakes his own death. He fakes his own suicide by putting the blood all over his neck. Lauren comes to talk to him, and he does not know that Lauren has just gone through seeing a
watching
dead body
die, basically.
Yes. So he plays a prank on her. So he plays a prank on her that he was dead, which, shocker, does not go over well. I always hate that scene in the movie because, like, obviously, like, it's not going to end well. But I'm like, oh man, if just that tube of fake blood wasn't laying around, you probably would have fucked her, and you guys would have been happy. Like,
you know what? Good, because she needed to get the fuck out of there. She didn't need to be with any of those men. Like, because girl, what are we doing? Yeah, I really hate that scene. I don't really. I am okay. I like that they didn't end up together. I like that there's no like redemption through romance and these things. Like I think there's something to be said there, but yeah, it's a very interesting choice, especially after, I mean, he had just slept with her friend like a minute ago.
Yeah.
And he just slept with her friend and then got up and said, I only had sex with your friend because I'm in love with you. And then she's like, pardon? And leaves because, girl, what? Anyway, though that kind of makes sense because he has some very warped ideas about innocence, and because he says like that would almost like ruin her innocence to sleep with her. He very much is dealing with a Madonna horror complex kind of thing going on mentally. So there is something to be said about that because he's having sex with this woman and like the other girl's like pictures right there. So that's something to be said, but kind of a losing streak. Sleep with my friend. I find out you tell me you did it because you're in love with me. And then I run to the bathroom and then there's a dead body in there. And then I go to talk to you because you're like, I don't know, like I'm like trying to like, what's going on? And then you're pretending to be a dead body. L after L after L. Like, fuck, dude. Like, it's genuinely like the worst sequence of events for this girl to watch. And like, she's just like a nice person. Like, she, of all the characters, doesn't really have anything to be like Paul is a little bit more of a sociopath. Obviously, Sean is fucking far across morality. He's like hurting people. He's doing drugs. He's selling drugs to people. He's got his own fucking issues. Lauren's like a victim. She's just like a victim who she just has a bad time all the time. I kind of hate that for her.
It's true. I mean, again, I think there's you said there's a spectrum, and the spectrum starts at Lauren and it ends with Sean, and Paul's kind of in the middle. Because now the theme here, at least that I find to be the theme, because it's parroted a few times, so I have to assume that that's done for a reason, and I'm assuming it's in the book, is more or less at the very final, basically their final interaction, where Lauren basically tells him it's never going to happen.
You're never going to know me.
I just want to know you. And she says, well, you're never going to know me. Nobody ever really knows anybody. To which, when Paul comes and confesses his feelings to Sean says the same thing back to him. Which I will rightly say, I think the correct response to that is what Paul says, which is like, what the fuck does that mean?
Yeah, what the fuck?
And then I will say, just as a fun part here, the gayest that Paul looks in the entire movie is when he's throwing that snowball.
I will say, I wrote in my notes exactly, you're not ever going to know me. And what the hell does that mean? And I said, thank you, Paul. I feel the same way.
Yes. So, I mean, that seems to be a theme of the movie there. But I mean, ultimately, yeah, like I said, we get to the end and we've already kind of discussed the end where none of the ultimate, I think you're right. I think you are right. I think that ultimately by Sean just choosing to leave instead, the assaults both assaults do not occur. Not that is necessarily like, ooh, it's not like, and that may sound like to the viewer like, well, that's a good thing. Well, it is a good thing that no rapes and no beatings happen. But it's still not like they're happy. They're basically miserable, but they will live on. Presumably Sean probably will not, but ultimately, Blue, what did you think of this? Like, ultimately, like I know, obviously, I've watched it a bunch, so I don't. It'd be fucked up if I was like, yeah, but I hate it.
I hate it, and I just wanted you to watch it because I hate it. I will say there are some really fun parts of this movie, kind of like what I've said too about like I think it stands out to me for kind of what it means as far as other movies coming out around that time and kind of how I think about them conceptually. I do think there's something to be said there. There also is something we didn't talk about, which minor thing. Her boyfriend, Lauren's boyfriend that she was waiting for, Victor.
Yeah, Victor.
He has the best part of the whole movie. That whole montage of like the Europe trip and like that was really fun. Like that in and of itself is like its own movie would be very fun, which I guess that technically exists and it's been shown at like film festivals and stuff, but like I guess they are actually a lot of crimes in it and they didn't get waivers from anyone, so they filmed like this adventure kind of thing. I guess the director I guess he shows it to his close personal friends, and it's been shown at film festivals occasionally every once in a while, just very small audiences. But yeah, he had like no waivers for anything, and there's a lot of real sex I think that happens in it. It's kind of crazy. But otherwise just that piece of the movie is fucking cool. Like that's like it's worth it cool. Alone. Yeah,
I will say and then the heartbreak that Lauren has to go through. So Lauren's waiting for him to come back so she can give her virginity to him. And she comes back to him once again, another guy fucking her friend instead. And he has no memory of her whatsoever.
Does not know her at all. She has been pining. And in like his scenes, right? He's like, I feel like a ghost of my former self and like whatever, all this dumb shit. I kind of, before I give you my final thoughts, just one more question I had about it. Laura, the roommate, how do we feel about her? Because I almost feel like, in a way, I don't know. I think of her, I mean, for one, she's kind of the world's biggest op, but at the same time, she's also, because Lauren talks about her attraction to Sean and this and whatever, and she's kind of like, oh, don't do it. And I almost feel like she agrees to sleep with him in the sense of like, I don't know. I feel like Laura is just out here taking bodies for Lauren. Like these are not good people that she would have been sleeping with or been involved in. And I don't think she could be casual. She couldn't be like, Laura is someone who knows her body very well. She's in scenarios where she's sleeping with multiple men or this or whatever. And she's kind of like through sex, removing bad people from Lauren's life. It's fucked up and it's crazy. But I almost feel like, okay, guardian angel pussy, I guess. Sure.
And that's a way to look at it. I think that's valid. I also, there's the whole scene of her like, and I forget what the exact line is, but like immediately after she has sex and she's like, she says something totally fucked up.
That she was born in like a Motel 6 or something like that.
Yeah, I was born in a Motel. I also get the impression that like she's got something mental going on as well. And she's using sex. Well, yeah, she's using sex as a like a validation almost, because I mean, any guy that comes sniffing around Lauren, she ends up fucking. Like it does feel like you can look at it as like the guardian angel of pussy, or you could, I think, look at it as, this is just another fucked up college student who more or less is using sex as a way to, fill the void that's in her soul.
Yeah, which apparently is. Whew. Yeah, I will say I do like the film. I do think for me, this is probably, as far as like a star rating, I would give it a 3 out of 5, I think. I think it's definitely above average. I do like it for a lot of senses. I think it's a well-made movie about some of the worst people, which is fun. And I would own it. I would watch it again, but it's not something like, there are little things like that. I'm not going to grade a movie too hard on this, but like there are some like issues with like I can't help but notice stuff like the bottle of whiskey being different in long shots and stuff. I can't help it. It's bad. It's not like, multiple stars minus because, one fucking.
Oh, don't you worry, because I got one for you. I got one for your film that might go down as one of the like, I'm like, how did this make it in the film? But
interesting, because I don't know if I remember anything from that.
One of the biggest, like, how the fuck did this make it in the film I've ever seen in my life, and it drove me nuts. Anyway,
interesting. Well, we'll get to that in a sec. But yeah, I would say I would own this. I do think it's very interesting. I do think, yeah, I think 3 out of 5, I think, is the fairest thing for me to give this. I'm usually a pretty harsh critic. So to me, that is still a very much above average movie. Maybe if it was actually Matt Damon, it'd be 3.5. I don't know.
I mean, I'm with you. I don't think it's perfect by any means. I'd probably go a little higher just because if I've watched a movie over 50 times, I got to give it at least a 3.5. I do think it's worth watching for many reasons. Just because it's this weird ball of lots of different shit. Like, you're gonna laugh, you're gonna go, oh, you're gonna go like, oh. You might be horny. Like, it's all kind of
there's a lot happening.
I will say, for just another fun fact, I've told you this is also for people who really like DVD commentaries. This is actually a collector's item for the DVD and the Blu-ray, because it has one of the strangest commentary tracks ever put. As instead of having the director or the cast watch the movie, they paid Carrot Top to do it, who had nothing to do with the movie and had never seen it. So it's kind of an interesting one that has a little bit of fame in that community of people who like, these special features on DVDs. But yeah, I enjoyed that. But Blue, you picked a movie that also
It's
has
sad.
the word blue in it.
What can I say? I'm a
You're
creature
on
of
brand.
habit. Yeah, it's I was excited for this one because I haven't seen Blue Valentine in a long time. It's probably been years, so it was definitely a rewatch. I remembered it being horrifically sad, but I didn't remember just some of the performances and some of the choices that they made. I'm gonna pull up.
This was a first time watch for me. 2010 Blue Valentine. It's a rough watch. It is definitely a completely different type of movie. I mean, the first movie that we discussed is disgusting and hard to watch because of the gross things that are happening. This is hard to watch just because it is essentially the story of a marriage coming undone. But
and it's
told
juxtaposed
again
with the falling in love.
Yes, they're jumping back and forth timeline wise. It stars for those again just checking this out. Stars pretty much it's a two-hander. There's a couple other people in the movie, but for the most part, it's Ryan Gosling and Michelle Williams, who, as I said, was in Dawson's Creek. So we're linking back. But yeah, it's. I guess what's your history with this movie, and I guess start leading us through it, because it's a rough one, but it's good. I'll say it is good, but it is hard to get through in a completely different way.
Yes, it's definitely sad. I remember watching this. I feel like I watched this for the first time actually. Ironically enough, there are two exes I would say that have, like, if I could combine two of my last exes, like the two with the very similar names, if I could combine them, I do feel like there's a lot of elements to this. But the one that I dated the longest, I actually watched this movie with many years, like early into it. We're still happy, having fun, having a good time. And I remember us watching this movie together. I don't remember why, but I remember watching this movie. I think I kind of always have a Ryan Gosling phase, though. I kind of just love him as an actor and will watch anything he's in realistically, especially like his more weird artsy stuff. Like, oh, love it. So I watched it at that time, and I remember being very sad, but not really being able to dive into it in terms of like the emotional depth, because it's not easy regardless. And then, I ended up watching this. I wanted to watch this again to kind of go with it and like new eyes. It had been many years, at least like probably 7 years or so, 6 years or so since I had seen this, maybe even more. So it was definitely something that I wanted to relive. And I feel like you would be a very interesting person to watch this with too, because for those who don't know, a lot of people will know us in real life, but some of you don't. Sam and I have been friends for, how long we know each other? A decade?
Coming up on it. Like 8 or 9, I think.
Yeah. And we have seen each other go through happy times, go through bad times. We have seen relationships come and relationships go, and their downfalls and all these things. And both of us have also recently, the last calendar year, went through some pretty bad breakups, different situations, but definitely. And then we also came out of it, and now we're in very, very good, very healthy relationships. So I figured us being yearners and having so much like, in being in touch with those kind of feelings would be really fun, specifically for an episode like this. So
I agree. And like, again, this was news to me. I have heard of this movie. I had never seen it. This is probably not the type of movie I would typically put myself through if it wasn't for a little experiment here, just because I have heard, like, oh, how gut-wrenching that this movie can be. But like you said, I also am a Ryan Gosling fan. I'll pretty much watch anything with him in it. So, and I think him and Michelle Williams are great in this movie. It's just, there is one thing I had to consciously tell myself while I'm watching this movie, though, like, and because of my perspective of, again, being a yearner and I am and always have been like a romantic a doughy eye, a starry eyed,
Mhm.
romantic, dreamy person. And very much Ryan Gosling is that in this movie. And I have to like, so I while I'm watching the movie, there's parts of me from my experiences going, well, she's being a fucking bitch right now. And I'm like, you can't do that. Like, you gotta look at it from both sides here. And
Mhm.
but so I actively like sometimes you watch a movie and you can just let yourself go. I had to like watch and like tell myself like, don't be that guy, don't be that guy, and
Yeah.
only, and because you could watch this movie. I think if the wrong man watches this movie, he sees it
Mhm.
as well, this woman just destroys his fucking life, and it's like,
Yeah.
well,
I would actually say the same thing though too about like there is a the film works because it is a culmination and a dissolution of a relationship. And I do think also like for a woman watching this, they would see like this guy's a fucking loser. He's a fucking
Mhm.
loser. He's a terrible person. He treats her like shit. Like you could have like both like oh my god, it would be terrible. Like certain type of people watching this movie and not kind of having that type of there would have to be you'd have to be someone who's at least it's not the most complex movie, but definitely capable of that critical part because you can lean into whatever character that you've maybe related to or maybe like
Yeah.
even like a gender bias of like well women have always acted like this or men have always acted like this to me and blah 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 and not understanding this really I think what the point of the movie is I would say.
Yeah. Now I do tackling this plot wise. I have absolutely no idea how we're gonna do it.
Yeah. I mean they fall in love and then they don't like
So the movie is a time jump movie. But unlike Rules of Attraction, where there is one time jump, there is constant time jumps in this movie. You're constantly going forward in time, backwards in time, forward, backward at varying stages of their life. And you're basically, again, getting the juxtaposition, like you said, of them falling in love. And then I would argue you get about 40% of them falling in love. 60% of the movie is them at the end of a relationship, essentially.
yeah.
And that 60% is the hard part to watch. The other part's great. You're like watching a romantic comedy.
Yeah. And you're like, wow,
you're
I
like,
love it. I love love.
wow. It's like the part of like a horror movie at the beginning. Like, wow, look at this nice happy family. They've
I
moved
sure hope
into a
nothing
new
bad
house.
happens.
Yeah. And then
Yeah.
like,
Yeah. The filming, I will say that really, because that's one thing I really liked about this movie that I wanted to talk about too, is how it's shot and edited. Because I think there's a lot that the actors do for this too. Like the actors themselves, like I guess Ryan Gosling and her, they lived together for a month. They gave them a painter budget, like man salary to do this with. Like the scene of her, well, the scene of them, like him waking her up in the morning is like real, like she was actually asleep. There's like interesting kind of dynamics. Even like their love scenes were like them kind of discovering each other's like hidden talents and stuff. It's kind of cutesy. But a lot of how it's filmed in a sense, like the flashbacks are warm. They are more of a warm color code. They are also always shot with they're seen on frame together very often. It's like this the world is showing you these two people as two people. Like they are never far from frame. They're almost always together and almost always interacting and they're almost always there together. And when you get into I would say more of like the future, right? When you pop back into time, they actually use a lot of like telephoto lenses and a lot of close-ups. Like there are scenes where as they're falling in love, where they're walking down the street together, they're in a bus and they like see each other from across the bus that are much farther apart, but the audience is seeing them on this level. And there's scenes where like there's one scene that stuck out to me a lot in filming is they're in the car together. That's a very close thing to be with someone in a car. You're maybe a foot away from each other and you never see them on screen together. Never. There is this very distinct difference. It's all close-ups. It's all reactions. They are never presented in those moments as together when they're having these like arguments, when they're having these conversations. And it is so like, I mean, the actors did so well. And I do think the directing of this movie just enhances all of that. Even if you're not aware of it, subconsciously, your brain is like showing these characters at odds with each other through so many different things. And I thought that was really fun.
Yeah, I think that's great. I think the cinematography is really, really good in this. I will say one of my again, and not a huge critique. I don't have a lot of major critiques for this film, but I will say one critique that I do have is that this has a lot of like shots that linger that you see a lot in like what I feel like is like an independent dramas where like
Sure.
where like it'll like it just kind of lingers on them not really doing anything or like where you know me, I'm a fucking I like to bitch about run lengths. I'm like, all right. Well, if we cut some of these out, like you know, we could get under 2 hours. Like what? Like that's the only thing I would bitch about is that I think that the editing could have been a little bit tighter as far as. But again, I think it's intentional. I just to me, I don't like when movies waste my time. It bothers me. Like when you're showing like a scene that is again, if it's a 30-second scene, you know, that could be a 12-second scene. I'd rather see the 12-second version of it. Is like if the extra 18 seconds is just going to be like a still shot of like a window with nothing happening. Like I get it that like, you know, there's some symbolism to these shots, but sometimes I'm like, let's get the show on the road. Let's get this relationship in the garbage. Like, let's go.
It's like barely. Well, yeah, it's 112 minutes, so it's not really that long. But yeah, some of it does feel like longer, especially because you're uncomfortable.
Well, yeah, that's the thing. You're also not like having a grand old time watching it.
Yeah, you're watching like her wince through like trying to have sex with her husband.
Like, I was gonna say this has the worst sex of any. Like I argued, do these people know how to have sex?
Apparently, because the flashbacks had fun.
Even the good sex scenes, I'm like, this doesn't look good either. Like the pleasurable ones. Now, here's where I'm gonna say. This might have the worst sex scene of any scene I've ever seen in a movie. When it flashes back to her having sex with her boyfriend in college, who comes inside of her and ostensibly, which I like that they actually never come out and say that Frankie is his kid, but obviously it's obvious. I think that that's smart to do that because it just kind of keeps the question mark in your mind. But Blue. How in the world did they allow this sex scene to be put on film? He is fucking her with his jeans on. He has jeans on.
He's got it open. He's got the fly open.
Right. But he has his jeans on. And I'm like, okay, well.
Because the actor probably didn't want his little tushy out. He's scared.
Okay, and I'm like, maybe he's got like the pants unzipped. When he flips over, his belt is still buckled. He has a belt on. So that means that the way they are fucking in this movie is he pulls he's got his little pecker coming through a pair of Levi's.
Oh, it's coming. All right.
And I'm just like, and at that point I was like, oh, I'm like, maybe they just don't want to like have, like, maybe they're just trying to like not have like a sexual, you know, movie. But then like 7 minutes later, there's full on titties and bush in and Gosling's ass. You get an ass shot of Gosling too.
Well, because Gosling cares about his audience, okay? Me.
I'm just saying. There's no way I am allowing my act. I'll get a stunt. We'll hire somebody. We're not having you fuck this girl through your dick hole of your fucking denim jeans.
Yeah.
Could you imagine a less how could it be less pleasurable?
You know, there's a lot of things to think about in that scene. I will say he probably just didn't want to show his little tush. But yeah. Thank you for Ryan Gosling for never having a problem with it, though. Thank you, King. Assuming that was his butt.
Yeah, I guess I don't.
Assuming the budget, I would have to assume. It was his butt. So we'll see.
I would think it is. Yeah, he seems cool with it. I mean, he's got a great bod. So, but I couldn't believe it. I was like, this is to me like the I'm like, what are we doing here?
Yeah.
And then the fact when he's I paused it. I'm pausing it, and he rolls over and his belt is still buckled. Like you didn't even have like the pants undone. The belt's still on.
He gotta get to class. He gotta do shit. He's gotta go do shit. He don't have time. He just has to get her pregnant and leave. Yeah, that's a whole thing. I will say some of the hardest parts of this to watch for me are one thing that I hated. And I think that some people listening to this would maybe relate to, like they've been through the similar experience or something like that. There's obviously a lot of things that both of these people are doing wrong, right? Like I'm someone who's interested in a lot of therapy and psychology and stuff like that. And I follow a lot of the Gottman stuff and like how they view relationships and their predictions on what relationships will work and what won't. And how much does a happy relationship, how much do they respond to bids of attention or affection? How much do they respond to those bids of connection versus how many times do an unhappy couple do it? And I'm watching them like hit and miss and hit and miss. So I'm not going to say either one of these people. I do think there's a lot of problems for both of them. But one thing that I related to, and it drove me nuts because I saw her in that scene, and I think it's very subtle. And they don't actually spend a lot of time on it. And it's something that I felt was very big part of my most significant, not an actual, most significant amount of time, my most like committed relationship. Engagement house, that whole kind of stuff. There is this element of I was watching them fight. I'm watching her clean up around him as he like kicks his feet up. All that does hit as well. But the thing that drove me the most nuts is every time something happened that wasn't ideal or optimal, it was her fault. Every single time. Like the fact that the kid they give her oatmeal at the beginning, and I guess it's not made right, and he blames her for that. And well, you did this, blah blah blah.
She made it with water, not with milk.
Yeah, and like meanwhile, he's sitting there smoking and drinking, whatever, and making a mess, and obviously not cleaning anything because we just saw her do everything at all. But like he complains about that. He blames her for the dog dying. He blames her for the fence being open to like let the dog out for the dog to die. He blames her for everything, like every single little thing in the movie that happens. It is her fault. And it drives me nuts because I had a very similar relationship dynamic with someone where everything was my fault. When our pipes burst and like a bunch of shit happened and like we had to spend like thousands of dollars on plumbing, it was my fault apparently because of my hair and I don't know, like I'm flushing tampons, whatever. It was the tree roots. Wasn't me at all. Did I get an apology for that? No. But like the minute we started having trouble, I was, well, you do this and you're always doing this and blah, blah, and it's your hair and you don't clean the drain enough. And I see it outside the tub all this time, blah, blah, like all this shit, right? Keep in mind, I'm the one paying for the fucking repairs, but whatever. Like that was like our dynamic in everything. The minute something went wrong, regardless if it was my fault or not. They at one point were trying to sell a car and they were trying to get this thing from their insurance. We don't have combined insurance for the cars. And like they had me call and it was my fault that like I hadn't called earlier, even though why would I know you're selling a car? And it was also my fault because apparently I should have just had that. And I'm like throwing away important house papers and I'm clearly like doing this on purpose. Like, but every single thing that could have possibly ever been my problem or my fault was always like this immediate critique. Like, why in the scene, obviously we know why for the theme of the movie, but like Ryan Gosling could just be like, oh, I'm going to remake it with milk. Like mom's busy, like here we go. Like he could just do anything to help her at all. And obviously he doesn't. And it's just the constant critique in the car. Like she's like, by the way, I like saw this person from my past and he's critiquing her on that. Like there's this endless, almost every interaction he has with her is fucking mean. It's obvious that he's not helping. It's obvious that he's mean. Every single thing. Like, dude, it's not her fault. Like the dog died. We have no, as an audience, we have no idea who left the fence open in the first place. And to like, she's like having this emotional moment and she's like, I found the dog and like, she's crying and it's all this. And he's like, he's fucking mad at her. He's fucking mad at her. And he tells her like that it's her fucking fault. He blames her for leaving the door open. And then she like, it's like a whole thing. But then when he breaks down because the dog died at home, then she has to comfort him. And it's this fucking, it's so telling of some of the relationship dynamics that I've had that are so like almost subtle that you don't understand how suffocating they are until you have lived them. At least from my perspective, that was a similar scenario that I had. And I was just like, oh my God, oh my God. That is what I felt so often with this person was this constant critique, constant, well, you didn't do this or do this. When I would offer, hey, like, I pay for most of the groceries and I cook all the meals and I do the dishes, and I would really like you to contribute at least to like paying for the food that I'm making. And then like they're taking me through the kitchen and saying, well, you let these cucumbers go bad. I'm not paying for that. You bought this flour. I'm not using that. I'm not going to pay for that. Like that is the type of person that I have dated. And I saw a lot of that person in this character that Ryan Gosling was playing. But he gets around it by being like the good guy, like the good dad, the fun guy, the optimistic, like no cares.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I mean, because that's the way. Again, you have. I think an intelligent person can watch this and go like, okay, there is two perspectives here.
Mhm.
I think stupid people can watch this and get really sucked into
who's right and who's wrong, and a lot.
Yes, and like and from whichever perspective they want to go from, and like this, I don't even know if that's necessarily bad. I'm just saying that like there's an easy way for dumb guys to watch this and go like, oh, fucking,
he's just a good dad. He just goes to work.
Yes, and listen, there is that. Like I watch that, and like I break apart and I see okay, everything you just said. Again, she's doing all the work. She's the one putting in the actually taking care of that. But then on the other side, I do see it as like, because I've also been in the situation where I'm like, listen, why does every goddamn thing have to be a fucking argument or be a fucking still? Like, can we just have a little fun? Can we do like, I've been in that situation too, where I'm like, so I again, like I see it like, but you have to, I think not have to, but I think that to truly get this film, you have to intelligently watch this. You're not going to passively watch this. You're going to have to actively watch it and keep telling yourself what, look at both sides.
Yeah, there's a lot of critiques that I have with her too. Because the thing is like, that's the beauty of the film. It shows like love and it shows the bad. And like in reality, when you're in that moment, there's so much that has like, there's so much little things that like that add up over time and add to resentment, all these things. Like she is constantly like, he's always trying to get her attention. She does not like, he'll call her name 6 fucking times and she'll turn around the 7th time. Like she is constantly ignoring him. She's constantly like getting shitty instead of communicating, though. I don't know, it kind of seems like she probably has tried. It just doesn't really seem to land for some reason. Though they both have very different ideas of what they want out of life and what they want out of a relationship, and that's really kind of maybe the crux of a lot of it. But like the way that she rejects him, the way she ignores him, the way she shuts him out, the way she can't appreciate any of the good that he has, and she's constantly in her own way rejecting him, and she's belittling him, and she's like, you're just a fucking child and blah blah, like this. She's not like, they're both not good for each other in a lot of ways.
No, they're not.
Yes.
Now, and I will say there's some stuff that just because it and this is gonna sound so stupid, but like I'm someone I'm obviously like a cis white dude, like we're the worst. But I feel like I have more female friends than I have non-female friends. And based on their experiences that I've told, there is a scene in this movie that I found repugnant. Just because of like stories that I've heard from my own person, from, all of our friends, like when they're in the hotel and he's going, basically says something along the lines of like, he's trying to have sex with her and she's like rejecting him. And he basically says like, I deserve this. I'm so good to you. Like you, and he in so many words basically says like, I'm nice to you, so you have to fuck me. And I found that so repugnant because I now know that that's like the way that dudes fucking think, the way that there are some dudes out there that think like transactionally, like I opened the door for you, so you have to give me your time, you have to give me your attention. I'm doing X amount of nice things for you, so that equals X amount of sex. And I was like, oh, at that point is when I turned on him. I'll be honest with you. I was team Gosling on this movie, like for the most part. And then I was like, fuck this guy, fuck him horribly. Don't fuck him is what I mean.
Yeah.
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 So that scene in particular, and I don't know if it's just because of conversations that I've had recently, it I honestly found that to be more disturbing than anything that happened in Rules of Attraction, because at least that's presented in like a hyper stylized, over the top way, where this felt really, really real, and it was gross.
Yeah, I will say I started to have my red flags. Again, neither one of these people are perfect, but I started to have my red flags in the flashback scene where she's really obviously nervous about telling him something, and he like makes that he's gonna fucking jump off a bridge for her to
You
tell him.
think?
I was like, okay, hold on. It's obvious that he is like very much more of an explosive person. Like he has these kind of, because even in that scene, right? Like there is like this gross like entitlement to her body. Which first of all, she didn't want to be in this scenario in the first part. She rejects him. You're just gonna have to take that as it is. I mean, you can have conversations about like affection, all these things. There's a reason why she doesn't want to fuck you. It's probably that. And like she's obviously frustrated with him. She doesn't even want to be drunk at the moment, and then like that's a whole outburst. And then he tries to get with her again. So like it's like this like a whole thing, and then like he's like wants to have a baby with her, and like that's obviously like becoming a thing too, because it's like almost this entitlement to her body again, in that way of like a baby is obviously a big thing too. And yeah,
he's kind of got white knight syndrome, and like I took, like, listen, you were pregnant with someone else's kid, and I came along and helped you raise that kid, and it's like
I deserve sex and my
yeah,
own
I deserve sex and affection when I want it, not when you want it. When I want it right now is when I deserve it. And yeah, it's really gross. At that point, it's when but again, I kept watching it and going, because I have seen a lot of dudes like this movie. Like I've seen that, like, and I kind of worry that there's a lot of dudes who are like, yeah, she should just fuck him. And I'm like, oh, he's super nice. All she has to do is have sex with him. He's helping her raise the kid.
Yeah, he goes to work. Fucking god damn it. Yeah, there's a lot of
he yells at people for driving too fast. He's a good guy.
Yeah, meanwhile he's like banging around on shit and like walls, and like she has to lock the door to make space between them. Like
he drives around drunk all day long.
Yeah, like hello, like she's like, hey, like I would really like if maybe you like did something with your life and didn't drink at 8 a.m. every day. And he's like, so no pussy? Like, ma'am.
Can we laugh though? There's one thing I feel like you have to laugh at, which we haven't addressed. So in the flashbacks, Ryan Gosling is Ryan Gosling. He's like super hot, and obviously, he's like a mover. He's a high school dropout, and you know, obviously, whatever. In the present time, they try to make him like kind of more of a loser. So they like give him this kind of fucked up haircut that like I think they're trying to implement that he's maybe balding. And then I think they're giving him they put some sort of like, not a fat suit, but almost like they give him like a little paunch. And like they're so clearly trying to like make him look not attractive, but it's still Ryan fucking Gosling. So like it doesn't really work. I the whole time I'm like, he's the hottest guy in the world, and we're you know, like, okay, all right, whatever, sure.
Yeah.
If you wanted to cast somebody, you know, maybe don't cast the male model if you're gonna if we're gonna
show him as he could just be hot and like not a good guy. He could just like, we could just have both. Yeah, there's something to be said about that. I hate how these two keep missing each other, because I do think you know, up until maybe the end, there's obviously some physical violence, and that's a whole fucking problem. But I do think a lot of this would have potentially been solvable with like couples therapy. I think there would have been a way for these two people to fall back in love, but it would require a lot of differences. Like obviously she fell in love, like she loves like potential, and like he just loves love, and that looks very different for both of them, and they're clearly not hearing each other, they're not appreciating each other, they're definitely, up until there's a point of like physical violence, because that's like a whole scene, that's a whole thing. Like, and like if he could challenge his views on what his entitlement to her body, like if she could have an open conversation with him about why I'm not feeling like having sex with you, like you don't woo me, Like, I'm here cleaning the house and you're telling me, like, his version of trying is this grand romantic gesture, right? I'm going to get us this love hotel. We're going to do this. Like, it's going to be fun. Well, which room do you want to do? Blah, blah. And she's like, can we just fucking clean the house? Can we just be here? Like, they keep missing each other. She wants a partner. He wants a lover. And it's like this very different, the way they conceptualize it is completely horrible. And you just keep watching them miss each other over and over again. And that is like just so fucking painful. Because I really do think at the end, obviously there's that horrible scene. Like, he goes to her work, he's drunk, he like punches her fucking boss. Like, that's a whole thing. There's a lot there. Yeah, fucking goddamn it, dude. Like, literally ruining her life all the time for what? Though they have not done much for each other. My heart kind of broke in that scene where they're breaking up, and he basically just says, like, tell me how to be and I'll be it. I do think, I don't know if he has the potential to actually become what she would need, or for her to him, honestly, at this point. But that scene kind of broke my heart, because I do feel like, just to share a little bit more of like my background and everything, like that tell me how I'll be and I'll be it thing. Well, obviously, I don't think at this point in the movie that this couple should be together. And I don't think that, I'm not advocating for it. I do think some of it was fixable, but I'm not advocating for it, right? There's a lot happening there. I would have, even though, like, again, how much of it is real, how much is manipulative, I don't know. It would have been really nice to have heard this at some point. Most people I have dated, I have given the key. I'm like, we could do this, we could do this. I have offered couples therapy at different times in my serious relationship. Got that turned down because we don't need it. I have been that person kind of advocating for, this is exactly what I need. I'm a very straightforward person. I'm like, I'm not feeling good in our relationship. This is what I need. Like, this is it. Like, even our breakup conversation is often like, you're not doing X, Y, and Z. You're not this, like, blah, blah. Like, I'm going to leave because you're not like responding to the things I'm asking for. Like, I even asked in my long-term breakout at the end, I was just like, here's all the things wrong. And like, I don't see a future together because of the things that are wrong. Do you? And they were just like, no. And just like, we're done. Like, there was no fight. There was no, I want you to reconsider. There's no, I'll do the things that you're asking me to. I'll do the therapy. I'll do this. I'll read whatever. Like, I'll do, like there was just completely like, okay, like just this thing. Right. And that like was painful for me at the time. Cause I was like, I did kind of expect them to fight a little bit for it. And again, I mean, I wouldn't have been bringing up issues to them if I hadn't thought there was something there to build off of or do anything for. Though looking back, thank God I'm free. But at the same time, like, oh man, you know how nice it would have been for the people in my life that have been shitty, that I have had to leave, that to hear like, what do you need me to be and I'll be it. I don't know. If I was Cindy, I might have folded. To be honest, I might have folded. If I believed that in that moment that person was saying something true and genuine to me, I don't know. It would have been very interesting for me to be in scenarios like that, because everyone's just kind of always been like, or it gets to the point where we break up and then it's, I want to do X, Y, and Z now that you're done. Or even like, I will agree to do the things that you're asking me to do after the breakup. I've had a couple like this where, and then we break up and then they're like, no, I'll try all those things. And I'm like, okay, like, let's see. And then they don't do anything at all. And it's like, okay, well, clearly you're lying. So now we're done for real. And I think like that scene would have been really interesting. Like with, again, my long-term relationship, there was a lot of moments of like, and the worst part is he was kind of self-aware about a lot of the behavior. I remember 2 specific conversations we had where they hugged me and we were in our kitchen and they hugged me and they asked if they were too mean to me. And I said, yes, both times. I said, yes, you are mean to me. And like the reaction to that, of like this moment of like them, I guess almost realizing it on their own. And then me saying, yeah, you are too mean to me. And his only response to that at the time was like, I know I probably like am too mean to you, but you just like keep doing things wrong. And I was like, hello? Like literally camera to the office, like me being Jim, just like, huh? And so to have that type of person who is like self-aware to do that, to get to that point, for me to communicate, yes, yeah, I've been fucking saying that. And then that's the response instead of, you know, the sappy Ryan Gosling. What do you need me to be? And I'll be it. I would love if someone would have at any point, thank God they didn't. I'm free. And I'm in a much better, happier relationship now. And like, I mean, the way my nervous system is calm, slay. But I would have like, it sucks that I have never had anyone at that time in this like level of degradation of the relationship as ever really tried to fight for me at all. And I was like, damn, ouchie. I was like, well, that's how you know it's a movie. It's all fiction.
So you would have got back with the guy who's drunk all the time, and
I honestly I wonder if like that
and got you fired.
I'm a lover boy, and also in this scenario, you have to think too. They have a child. I do think having a child does add a layer of complexity to it. We see obviously a lot of their relationship dynamics. We see a lot of why Cindy is the way that she is in terms of relationship and why she may have found this person, right? We see her parents' relationship and how bad it is, right? So I do think there's some validity to her saying like, I don't want Frankie to grow up with, I don't want our daughter to grow up with parents that fucking hate each other just like mine. I do think there's something to that, but I think when you add a kid, it does add a level of complexity. My problem is when I'm putting myself into those scenarios, I'm imagining me and my behavior and how often I will address things and be like, I don't like this, or this is happening, or I feel this type of way. And I would have been communicating these things for a long time. And you know, after a certain point, yeah, if someone kind of had more of that reaction, I mean, I usually give people the benefit of the doubt. I usually will say, like, if they're, you know, my last one was kind of more like, I'll do the things you're asking me. And I'm like, okay, I'm not going to give you access to me immediately, but we'll try it. We'll see. And then obviously the first like check-in we had after, they were like, I'm like, did you try to get a job? Did you try to like do anything? And then they're like, I don't have to answer you. You broke my heart. I don't ever have to be vulnerable to you again. And blah, 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 blah. You know what I mean? Like, I've always given the fucking opportunity to try and win me back. I'm rooting for you if you want to fucking try it. And again, has anyone done it or tried really valiantly at all even? No. But yeah, I feel like when you're at that level with someone, especially when you think about a kid, I do think if someone said that to me and I felt like that was a genuine thing, I do think I would consider it.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think you would be in the minority in the situation based on at this stage. I mean, this is, I mean, that's the end. I mean, that's literally the end of the movie. That's it. Like, you know, at that point she leaves and that's credits.
It's implied. Yeah. That's the end of the movie. That's the end of the love story. There it is. So. But yeah,
ultimately,
kind of a lot.
Ultimately, it is a lot. It is a very simple movie too. Like I mean, it's got two modes. It's got happy, sad, happy, sad. It's a very simple movie. I do think it's good. It's good though. So like for me, I thought about like reviewing it or rating it. Like I'm like, do I rate it like my enjoyment or do I rate it like on how well I think it actually is as a movie? Because like out of a movie, I like if I'm just like, hey, be completely objective, what do you think this really is? I'd probably give this like a 4 out of 5. I think that's it. Now for me personally, because it's just not in my wheelhouse typically, I'd probably go a little lower. I'd probably go like 3.5, I think is probably more where I'd go. But like it's a good movie. Like I am glad that I've seen this. You know, but
he said he's never watching it again.
I will absolutely never watch this again. There's no reason to watch this again for me. Like it's a hard watch. It's not like, you know how we said with Rules of Attraction, like there's moments of brevity in there. Even the good moments, like you said, in this movie have red flags in the that you now are looking at. Like, so even like the flashbacks to the good scenes, there's a lot of like red flags on both sides for her and for him that this is not going to be a good journey. So it's heavy. It is a heavy drama. But again, ultimately I think it's really, really good. I'll split the difference between my objective and my personal review, and I guess I'll give it like 3 3.75 stars. I think that's fair.
I would say, yeah, if I could on Letterboxd rate this as a 3.75, I do think that's kind of where I would land with it. I personally did choose to just put it as a 4 because I do think some of the cinematography, I like the consistency of the bit. I don't think a lot of actors could play off how realistic a lot of this felt. Besides whatever they did to Ryan Gosling's head. I don't know what's going on there. But I do think there is
and the pants fucking.
Yeah, that's a lot. You do get a minus for that. But I think both of those are really fair answers. I originally did have this as a 3.5, but I think when I actually looked at it and I went in and I kind of saw this again and I watched it, I knew how emotionally gripping it would be, but I paid more attention this time to why they're presenting me certain ways, why color grading is a thing, why certain scenes are filmed certain ways, and I had more of a respect for it on like a technical level. So I would probably, 3.75 is probably the most realistic, but I'm going to lean toward 4 out of 5 just because Ryan Gosling.
Yep. Which almost wasn't in the movie, as I read.
Yeah. It was originally supposed to be like Channing Tatum or something.
It was offered to Channing Tatum. He turned it down out of basically not wanting to tarnish his image, of which he said he later regretted. But I also would find that it would probably be like a full star less, I think. And I got nothing against Channing Tatum. I think he's good in what he does, but I just don't think he would be able to be as pathetic as Gosling was in this movie.
Yeah, I think Ryan Gosling as an actor has got to be one of my favorites. I think he really just, both of them, realistically, the performances between both of them, the way that they carry stress in their bodies. I mean, this is probably one of my favorite Ryan Gosling movies, I would say, in terms of just like pure performance. Like, I really thought they added something that felt very, very real. And obviously these two had like a certain type of chemistry together as actors. And yeah, it was just Ryan Gosling. He's going to do it every time. I think he's got to be one of my favorite actors at this point, honestly.
Yeah, I like him. I'm not gonna put him like in my favorites, but I also would say I would probably not put this in my because again, this is so hard. I would probably I'll be honest. I like my favorite movie of his is oh my god, it's Crazy Stupid Love. I love that movie.
Oh yeah, I haven't seen that. But I love like Ryan Gosling and like The Notebook and like Barbie and Drive and Blade Runner and like all those. And he's going to be in Star Wars soon.
Crazy Stupid Love would apply for next week's episode, which is going to be Happy Love Stories.
Yay, happy. We're going to watch people fall in love and stay in love. Yay. I love that.
Maybe I will pick it just because you've never seen it. I don't know. We'll see. But crazy, whatever. It's him and Steve Carell. It's that they fuck each other's daughters, whatever. He's it's a whole thing,
right?
It's funny.
I love it.
It's Emma Stone, don't worry. But ultimately I think that this was a fun, interesting episode. But I think that we are going to go into the next episode, and so come back in 2 weeks, listeners, and you will hear we're a bi-weekly podcast, and
I bring the bi.
And yeah, I knew that was coming. But yeah, we're gonna come and we're gonna go into Happy Love Stories next week. Other than that, Blue, do you have anything you want to end with?
Just that I'm really excited to be back after our little break, and we basically, as far as the rest of, really half the year we have planned out for a bunch of fun content for everyone and a bunch of different types of movies and types of films. And we're doing stuff that's very different from some of our other episodes. And it's very exciting. So it's just nice to be back.
Absolutely. On that note, please like, rate, share, subscribe, do all that fun shit. And we will see you next week where we don't talk about depressing ass stuff.
Unless, who knows?
Yeah, well, we're picking. Oh, what'd you pick? Schindler's List. Oh yeah.
Oh.
All right. Bye.